Hi everyone. In today's video, I'm going to discuss two types of experimental study groups. One type is called the control design group, and the other one is called the double control and design group. So let us understand what is the difference between each and what are the advantages and disadvantages of each as well. So what is the control design study or the control design group mean? So in the control design group, you have two groups, the control group and the treatment group, or the control group and the experiment group. So these two groups are quite similar in nature. They can be comparable. For example, you have chosen to divide a classroom full of students into two groups. So there are 40 students, you divide them randomly into two groups, 20 students in each group. They all come from same educational background. That means they have the same educational background. It could be grade 12 students, it could be first year university students, it could be students who are studying first year in a medical degree. So there are two groups that are comparable. They have similar educational background, and then you decide to teach them the same way, you decide to teach them the same content. Everything remains the same, and then you assess one group with using multiple choice questions and the other group using a practical assessment, and then you see the impact of these two types of assessment methods on their scores. And then you come to the deduction that the impact of the practical assessment is significant on the scores, as students who have been practically assessed show higher scores. Right? So there is a control group and there is a treatment group. In medicine research, often control group and treatment group, what happens is that maybe there is a new pill or a new medicine which has come out. Let's say a medicine has come out which reduces blood pressure. So you have a control group and a treatment group. So the control group and the treatment group both have very similar blood pressure history. So the control group is not administered the medicine, and the treatment group or the experimental group is administered the medicine. And then you see the impact of that medicine on the treatment group's blood pressure after they have consumed the medicine for a period of time. Now what helps here is, of course, that you have some baseline data. So you have these two groups and you collect baseline data about them. Baseline data refers to the data collected before the intervention is carried out, before, in this example, before the medicine is administered. So you determine the blood pressure of all the people in both the groups. You have some baseline data. Then of course you divide them into two random groups. The control group is not given a medicine and the treatment group may be given the medicine, and then again you collect post-treatment data to measure the impact of the intervention on both groups. This is to show that the intervention that you carried out, and by intervention I mean that the medicine that you administered did have an impact on the treatment group's blood pressure. It could have either maybe made it more or made it less. That is up to the outcome of the study. So this is the control group design method. Now this is all part of experimental research study design methods. Now what is the problem with control group? That the double control group has to be introduced. So what is the double control group? So often in control group and treatment group, if there is only one control group, often examiners and reviewers question that maybe the impact of the intervention on the treatment group is not purely due to the intervention, it may be due to the other reasons as well. For example, you have two groups, control group and treatment group, and in control group you don't give the medicine. The treatment group, of course, you give the medicine, and the treatment group shows a lesser blood pressure. Now an examiner or a reviewer might question that because the treatment group kind of were aware of the fact that they are having the medicine, or even if they were not aware of, it could be mainly because of a better diet, it could be because they were exercising more, it could be because they were educated about health effects. So there could be other variables, we often call them extraneous variables, other variables which are playing a role here in reducing the blood pressure of the treatment group, and it is not because of the medicine alone. And similarly, in the education context, you can say that someone might argue that the students who were practically assessed compared with the students who were assessed through a multiple choice questioning system or a written examination, the students who were practically assessed got more scores because there was a learning effect. So when they were being taught, maybe the students through the practical assessments or there was a learning effect from the time that the students started studying to the time the assessment was carried out. So that means the students who may have started out on the same ground, but the students who were practically assessed tended to study from other resources. They were exposed to other learning content. So how can we know for sure that this intervention is the impact is purely due to the intervention cost? So to address these kind of questions and to address these kind of comments and queries, and to show the impact of the intervention on the outcome of the study or the outcome of the treatment group, some researchers, they use double control groups. That means they use two control groups to address that, or to make sure that the outcome of the intervention is purely due to the intervention and not due to any other variables. So let's see what happens in the context of the medical study. So in the context of the medical study, there is one group, the control group, which is not given the medicine. Then there is another control group which is given the medicine, which was probably also reduces blood pressure and has been approved beforehand. So the one control group maybe is not given medicine, or maybe is given a placebo, something that looks like a medicine. So what we ensure in both control groups is that one control group gets a placebo which looks like a medicine but is not the medicine, so they are not aware whether they are having the medicine or the placebo. The second control group is given a drug which has been approved to reduce blood pressure. It is of some other brand. And then the third control group, the third group, which is the experiment or the treatment group, is actually given the medicine for which this research is being carried out, and they consume the medicine as well. And then an impact on the blood study of the participants is studied. So there are three groups which are comparable. So we all have a baseline data, and then these three groups are coming from one single group. We randomly divide them into three groups, collect the baseline data about their existing blood pressure. Then in one group we give them a placebo which looks like the medicine. The second group is given another drug which is also approved for reducing blood pressure, and the third group is the one that is given the medicine for which the research is being carried out. And then post intervention data is collected again, and the impact of the blood pressure is studied on all the groups to see the impact of the new medicine on the blood pressure of the group. So this way we try to reduce. So what happens is that in this way, if the experiment group demonstrates a reduced blood pressure or maybe demonstrates a more reduced blood pressure compared to the two control groups, that way we can show that this is not a random thing this has happened. This has purely happened only with the experiment group. So similarly, in the educational context, we may have one single classroom which are comparable, the students are comparable to each other, and we randomly divide them into three groups. And in one group, of course, we carry out multiple choice questioning. In the second group, also we carry out some kind of a practical assessment. Let's say we do some kind of a laboratory work, all right, some laboratory work, some practical experiment work. In the third group, we do a practical assessment, but which is simulator. So let's say we are trying to study the impact of simulators on the academic scores of the students. So we design one group with multiple choice question. The second group also undergoes practical assessment, but it is more like a lab work. And the third group is the one which undergoes the practical assessment, such as simulators, the one that we are trying to study. And then we see the scores. So when we see the scores, of course, the impact of the extraneous variables may still be there. But what that tells you is that out of the three groups, the group with the simulator assessment scored the best. That means it cannot be random, and that way we can justify that although there were some extraneous variables, there could have been a learning effect. Still, there are three groups, and if the treatment group is showing the best results, it is still addressing that the other two groups could also have shown some good results, but they didn't. So that is the way we use a double control group design. So I hope these examples were useful for you to understand. Of course, it depends on the sample size that you want to target. You should have enough sample size. Some researchers have access to students or people who want to be involved in medical research. However, there are other researchers who struggle to gather the sample size, the required sample size, just for one control group and one treatment group. It is not easy. So you can't have like 5 students or 5 people in each group and call it an experiment, because the reviewers or examiners might question the validity of your study in this case. So most of the researchers are struggling to get enough people in one control group and one treatment group. But if you can and if you have access to participants, then a double control group design also helps you in addressing any kind of concerns or queries that examiners or reviewers might have regarding the impact of the intervention on the outcome of your study. So thank you for watching today's video, guys. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and if there's anything I missed, please put it in the comment section. I'll see you soon with my next video. Bye for now.